But right at that moment, a sudden noise came from outside the door. Shen Youchu and Si Yu were back. The moment Si Yu walked in, she spotted Si Zhaozhao, leaping into the air with joy and jumping right onto Si Zhaozhao's back. Mom, what took you so long this time? Dad's back too. My dad is back from saving the world. She tilted her head, catching my gentle smile. She grinned right back, flashing her little fangs. Dad, but the very next second, she noticed Si Xiaoming. Her face instantly dropped. What are you doing here? Shen Youchu was more observant. As soon as she walked in, she noticed my red, swollen eyes. Her expression immediately turned ice cold. She shot a sharp, questioning look at Si Zhaozhao. You just got back, and you're already making Dad upset? The tension in the room was about to explode. I quickly cut in. I'm fine, don't get worked up. I took a deep breath, looking at my two daughters. Do you girls remember what I told you before? About having news of your oldest sister? Shen Youchu froze. We found her? I gave a heavy nod, turning to pat Si Xiaoming on the shoulder. Si Xiaoming is your big sister. She was kidnapped by Bai Yuntao years ago. Now that Xiaoming is back, Dad really hopes you sisters can get along. But to my surprise, Si Yu was the first to lose it. What? How is that even possible? Shen Youchu couldn't help but frown as well. Dad, are you absolutely sure? Meanwhile, Si Xiaoming looked at their sheer disbelief, and actually smirked. To my shock, she turned right to Shen Youchu and Si Yu and said, Well, little sisters, let's hear you call me big sister. Si Yu instantly blew a fuse. You're asking for it. She had barely raised her fist when I shot her a freezing glare. What did you just say? Si Yu immediately chickened out. Her raised fist instantly turned into a little waving paw, and she forced a stiff smile at Si Xiaoming. I meant, hello, big sister. Si Xiaoming gave a very satisfied ah, and cooed, such a good little sister. Si Yu was fuming but didn't dare say a word, miserably shrinking back into the corner, pinning all her hopes on her second sister. Then, Si Xiaoming slowly shifted her gaze to Shen Youchu. Second sister? Shen Youchu pressed her lips tightly together, unable to force out a single word. That's when it finally hit me. These two girls had always been secretly competing with each other. If Youchu skipped a grade, Si Xiaoming would skip a grade too. If Youchu won the math competition, Si Xiaoming would turn right around and win the physics championship. Now that they were suddenly flesh and blood sisters, no wonder she was having such a hard time accepting it. But right at that moment, Si Xiaoming started playing the victim again. She tugged at the hem of my shirt, pouting pitifully. Does second sister not like me? I guess I'm just not very likable. Before I could even react, I heard Shen Youchu force through gritted teeth. Big sister. Si Xiaoming beamed instantly. Such a good second sister. Don't worry, your big sister will take great care of you both from now on. I watched the three sisters getting along so well, and my heart just bloomed with joy. Now, we're just waiting for news on the third and fourth girls. As I was thinking about it, Si Zhaozhao's hand suddenly rested on the back of mine, slowly tightening its grip. I didn't shake her off, but she actually pushed her luck. She quietly inched closer to me, and by the time I snapped out of it, she had snuggled completely into my arms. I rolled my eyes at her, but I couldn't be bothered to fuss. I turned to my daughters and warned them. The Bai family bullied little Meng for so many years. We can't just let this slide. I've already dug a trap for the Bai family, waiting for them to jump right in. It'll be the absolute best time to reveal little Meng's true identity. Make sure you don't let it slip when you're out. Si Yu immediately mimed zipping her lips. Don't worry, Dad. My lips are sealed. We all just stared at her in total disbelief. She was the least reliable one here. Still, I encouraged her. Dad believes in you. Once everything was settled, so as not to alert the enemy, I had Si Xiaoming head back to her own apartment first. After settling the kids down, I turned around and went back to my bedroom. Who knew, the moment the door clicked shut, someone grabbed my wrist hard. The very next second, I was pinned tightly against the door. Her burning hot body pressed right up against mine, and a breathtakingly intense aura washed over me, completely enveloping me. Finally, it's just the two of us. Si Zhaozhao wrapped me in her arms from behind, her arms squeezing my waist like iron clamps. She held me so tight, as if trying to fuse me right into her body. She buried her face into the crook of my neck, taking a deep, greedy breath, and let out a sigh that sounded both incredibly satisfied and dangerous. Shen Chen, you finally came back. I thought this was all just a dream. Right after that, a flash of dark obsession crossed her eyes. Where exactly have you been all these years? Did someone deliberately hide you away? She was squeezing me so hard I could barely breathe. I quickly turned around in her arms, looking straight into the deep insecurity in her eyes. It was clear she was terrified I'd disappear on her again. I looked at her earnestly and said, no one hid me. I left on my own. Didn't I leave a note for you? To my surprise, her eyes instantly turned red, and she sounded so incredibly wronged. Then why didn't you tell me where you were going? I went completely crazy looking for you. I reached up and gently stroked her cheek. I'm sorry, it's my fault. There won't be a next time. But the second she heard that, Her grip tightened even more, a crazy, dark intensity surging in her eyes. You dare even think about a next time? She gritted through her teeth, viciously threatening me, if there is ever a next time, I'll die right in front of you. I just couldn't hold it back anymore, and burst out laughing. I quickly buried my face into her shoulder, my whole body shaking with laughter. Wifey, how are you so incredibly cute? That instantly smoothed her ruffled feathers. The tips of her ears turned bright red, and she asked awkwardly, well, do you like it? I love it. I love you the most. She immediately perked up with pride. If she had a tail, I bet it would have shaken the heavens. Then, she suddenly asked, her voice trembling slightly, you're back now. Are you fully recovered? Bringing up the time I spent lying in that hospital bed. Her face was instantly washed with heartache. I nodded gently. I'm all better. It won't happen again. Only then did she completely relax. With her worries finally gone, Si Jiao seemed to grow bolder. I could feel her body getting hotter and hotter. Those restless hands of hers started trailing down my waist, igniting a spark between us. I noticed what she was doing and looked up into her eyes. Honey, your outfit today looks awfully familiar. I tugged playfully at her collar and smiled. The very first time we met, this is exactly what you were wearing. It's been so many years, but Miss C is just as breathtaking as ever. Her eyes darkened with desire, but the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curve up. As if hiding a secret thrill, her breathing grew heavy. She suddenly lifted her head, eager to kiss me, but stopped right before our lips touched. Right at that moment, I gave her collar a sharp tug. And just like all those years ago, I kissed her fiercely on the lips. Si Jiao's body instantly stiffened, as if her mind had just exploded with sparks. But the very next second, I abruptly pulled away, pinned her down on the bed, my eyes locked onto hers. I caught a flicker of anticipation in her eyes. It seemed she was no stranger to this exact scenario. That's right, even though we have 5 daughters together, we've only ever gone all the way once. And that one time, got her pregnant with all 5 of them. Her face instantly burned red all the way down to her neck. She looked completely bashful. I know her. For some reason, she absolutely loves it when I get rough and dominate her like this. It's like only then, can she truly feel my love and how much I care about her. Just as a look of secret delight crept onto her face, my voice cut through her ear like a dark spell. We're not done with what happened downstairs. Talk. Why did you suddenly lay a hand on our daughter just now? I mean, who slaps their own daughter on the neck for no reason? The deep affection on Si Jiao's face instantly froze. She probably didn't expect that I wasn't letting it go, and that I was settling the score right now. All the color drained from her face, and she started stammering. You have a psychological issue, don't you? You've been seeing a therapist recently. She completely panicked. Her eyelashes trembled wildly, and her eyes were filled with the sheer terror of being abandoned. She grabbed my arm tightly, tears welling up in her eyes, looking so incredibly pitiful. I was wrong. I shouldn't have hidden it from you. And I shouldn't have treated Si Xiaoming like that. I'm so sorry. She babbled incoherently. Please, don't leave me. I'll control it. I won't have another episode, I promise. Doctor said I'm already better, that I won't just lose control anymore. Saying that, she tried to scramble up to call the doctor as proof. I had no idea she would react this strongly. I hurriedly pressed her back down. Okay, I'm not sick of you. I wiped the teardrops from the corners of her eyes. You're a grown woman, and you're still crying. She stared intently into my eyes, searching to make sure I truly wasn't disgusted by her. Only then did she breathe a sigh of relief, throwing her arms tightly around me. Her voice was choked with sobs, but her tone was fiercely stubborn. You're not allowed to abandon me. We already have 5 daughters. Abandoning your wife and kids is a terrible thing to do. I patted her back gently to soothe her. Yeah, I won't abandon you, but you can't skip your therapy sessions. Take Xiaoming with you next time. You two need to work through this together. Si Jiao gave a soft, obedient murmur in response. Okay. As the night grew deeper, the temperature in the room also quietly began to rise. In the darkness, holding onto my very last shred of reason, I patted her on the shoulder. Don't have, protection. I really don't want you getting pregnant again. But to my surprise, Si Jiao paused her kissing along my neck. Her voice was husky. I've already had my tubes tied. It turned out, ever since Bai Yuntao brought Si Xiaoming to the Si family, she had gone and gotten the procedure done. She did it to completely kill any chance of having another child. I instantly froze. I dodged her lips. Were you with other men while I was gone? She immediately yanked my head back and gave me a hard, punishing bite on the lips. You always accuse me. I've saved myself entirely for you this whole time. Soon enough, my consciousness was completely swallowed up by the passionate night. As the early morning light broke, I shifted my body. I could feel the person next to me instantly hold her breath, terrified of waking me up. I rolled over to grab my phone, but my hand brushed against warm, soft skin. My eyes snapped open in surprise. Si Jiao gently grasped my hand, and pressed a soft kiss to my lips. Shen Chen, you're awake. It was her. Remembering the wildness of last night, my lower back gave a dull ache, and I could feel my face flush with heat. Seeing this, she reached out and started gently massaging my waist. Does that feel a bit better? I let out a lazy, but when I glanced up, I noticed the heavy dark circles under her eyes. I reached up and poked her under eye bags. Don't tell me you stayed up all night? Suddenly, I felt a wave of burning heat radiating from her body. Her voice dropped into a low, husky whisper. Don't move, Shen Chen. Feeling the intense heat of her body, I reached out and gave her waist a sharp pinch. Behave yourself. I have classes this morning. Don't make me deal with you right now. Only then did she stop her wandering hands, hurriedly asking, what classes? Let me drive you. I picked up my phone and checked the time. It was just past 7 in the morning. There was still plenty of time. So, I stretched out lazily and gave her a relaxed reply. I've been transferred to Haicheng University now. Just doing some research and teaching a few classes. But Si Jiao was entirely focused on the word college. She reached up and touched her own face, looking totally lost in her own wild thoughts. I could pretty much guess what was going through her head. She was terrified I'd get snatched away by some young little thing. I didn't call her out on her silly little worries. I just got up, threw on my clothes, and went to wash up. She immediately followed right behind me. By the time we headed downstairs, Shen Youchu and Cu were already sitting at the dining table. The second Cu saw us, she bounced right up from her chair and started affectionately rubbing her head against our shoulders. It feels so good to wake up and see Mom and Dad. She beamed. I'm the happiest kid in the whole wide world. Si Jiao's hand, which was just about to grab her by the collar, froze in midair. Instead, she gave her a gentle pat on the head. Her voice instantly softened by several degrees. We'll always be here. Shen Youchu also stood up and pulled out a chair for me. Dad, sit right here. But to my surprise, Si Jiao smoothly pulled out the other chair right next to me. Absolutely determined to sit by my side, Shen Youchu stayed silent for a moment, then quickly claimed the spot on my other side. As a result, when Cu came back, she found her seat totally hijacked. Taking the hint, she tactfully sat down right across from me. Si Jiao pushed a bowl of bird's nest soup right in front of me. Honey, the temperature is perfect. Eat it while it's hot. Then, she picked up a shrimp dumpling and dropped it onto my plate. This one is really good, too. Come home tonight, and I'll cook for you myself. Seeing how she looked like she wanted to just pick up the bowl and spoon feed me, I just closed my eyes for a second, thinking to myself, the girls are sitting right here. We need to keep it appropriate. Catching my drift, Si Jiao awkwardly turned back around, but she still muttered under her breath, well, speaking of which, they're practically adults now. They could totally just move out. I was so annoyed I sharply stomped on her foot under the table. What the hell are you talking about? The moment Cu heard that, she threw her spoon down and started wailing loudly. Mom, you're totally choosing your man over your own daughter. Just last month, you said I was your sweet little baby. You go abroad for one trip, and suddenly I'm just dead weight, right? She stuck her tongue out and made a face at Si Jiao. Well, too bad. I'm gonna stick right by your side. And I'm gonna stick right by Dad, too. I'll be the biggest third wheel you've ever seen. Si Jiao shot her a glare. You're a high school senior now. Focus more on your studies and stop pestering your dad all the time. The second studying was brought up. Cu totally deflated. Her voice went completely soft and whiny. Mom, studying is so super hard. I'm exhausting myself. I've lost weight. Look how skinny my face is. Here, feel it. Saying that, she leaned her face right over. Si Jiao had always been a total sucker for her youngest daughter's sweet talking. She actually reached out and gave her cheek a little squeeze. Her voice carried a hint of amusement. Nonsense. Where did you lose weight? You're clearly still as chubby as ever. One little pout from her youngest daughter, and Si Jiao instantly forgot everything she had just been lecturing about. She completely backtracked. If you don't want to go to school, then you don't have to study. It's not like our family needs you to be the valedictorian. I raised my chopsticks and gave the back of her hand a sharp smack. It's a good thing that our daughter wants to improve herself. Don't you dare hold her back. Then, I shot her a warning glare. No wonder Wanwan's grades are so bad. You totally spoiled her. Si Jiao snapped her mouth shut instantly, sneaking a quick glance at my expression before smoothly changing her tune. Of course, we're not expecting you to be the top of the class. But you can't just end up illiterate, right? You still need to study. Cu secretly rolled her eyes at her mom in her head. But complaints aside, she actually didn't mind studying. After all, every time she solved a hard problem, she felt this strange sense of accomplishment. I turned to look at Shen Youchu, who was sitting perfectly straight next to her. Tuan, don't work too hard lately, okay? If you run into any issues at work, you can always ask your mom. Shen Youchu looked up, a gentle smile in her eyes. But then, Si Jiao looked away from me, the warmth on her face vanishing instantly, replaced by her usual strict, judging look. No issues at work lately, I assume? Shen Youchu put down her silverware, her tone completely flat. Don't worry, Mom. Grandpa is overseeing things at the company. Everything is going smoothly. Si Zhao just nodded. Good. You're still young and tend to be impulsive. Make sure you really learn from your grandpa. Shen Youchu replied calmly. You're right, Mom. The mother and daughter locked eyes. And the room seemed to drop a few degrees, though they were completely used to it. I was the only one feeling totally conflicted. With such blatant favoritism, no wonder she ended up getting sent to a nursing home by our second kid. If it were me, I would have pulled her oxygen tube ages ago. I immediately gave her Shin a little kick under the table. Si Zhao looked completely confused. Honey? I ignored her and just kept my head down, eating. But after that, every single time she tried to talk to Shen Youchu, I'd kick her. Even Si Zhao wasn't dumb enough to miss the hint. She finally just shut her mouth and played mute, quietly finishing her breakfast. After we ate, I got up to leave. Si Zhao immediately chased after me. Honey, wait up. I'll drive you to work. From behind me, I heard Si Yu whispering. So this is what a legendary simp looks like, huh? Shen Youchu shot her a freezing glare. Keep your mouth shut if you don't want a beating. Si Yu instantly zipped it. But unexpectedly, in the very next second, Shen Youchu spoke up with her total ice queen face. She's not a simp, she's got terminal love brain. Si Yu looked completely baffled. I ignored the drama behind me. And just walked straight out. Si Yu grabbed her backpack and headed off to school too. But right as she walked through the school gates, Su Jingchen blocked her path. Si Yu's expression shifted, and she instinctively took a half step back. What do you want? Normally, Su Jingchen was always in a neat school uniform, looking like the ultimate good boy nerd. Today, he was actually wearing an insanely expensive designer jacket. With a diamond-studded watch on his wrist. He looked completely different from his usual, practically shabby self. Then, gripping his backpack straps, and with an almost obsessive look on his face, he announced to Si Yu, word by word. Si Yu, I'm not going to have a crush on you anymore. I'm with Duoduo now. Things are really great between us. Don't think I'm the kind of guy who's just going to keep pestering you. I'm completely over it. Feelings should be saved for someone who actually deserves them. And you, never were. After dropping that line, he just turned around and walked away. His retreating figure looked so resolute, leaving Si Yu completely dumbfounded. She was so mad she was pacing in circles. Weren't he and Duoduo already together ages ago? What's the point of coming over here just to make a scene? Now I'm gonna go viral on the school forum all over again. Just then, Zhang Pei and Li Shui walked over. Seeing Si Yu all riled up, Li Shui stepped forward and patted her on the shoulder. You, what's going on with you? Si Yu explained the whole thing while cursing under her breath, and couldn't help but vent. Seriously, what is wrong with Su Jingchen? Anyone who didn't know the full story would think I was the one who broke his heart. Zhang Pei, however, just let out a sigh. When I went home last weekend, I heard Su Jingchen got cornered by a bunch of thugs. Apparently, they're all guys who are obsessed with Duoduo. They were jealous, so they brought a gang to jump him. But right at the critical moment, Duoduo showed up to save the day. Si Yu instantly got the picture. Oh, so he finally realized he's in love with Duoduo? Zhang Pei nodded. Li Shui, on the other hand, scratched her head, looking totally confused. But wait, didn't those guys jump him specifically because of Duoduo? Why would he be touched by that? Si Yu couldn't even be bothered to make sense of it anymore. Whatever, let people gossip, it's not gonna kill me. Saying that, she linked arms with the two of them and headed straight for the classroom. Meanwhile, I was sitting in Si Zhao's car, but she seemed completely distracted. She kept shooting sideways glances at me. Seeing that I was still giving her the cold shoulder, she finally leaned over cautiously and whispered, Shen Chen, what did I do wrong? Please, just tell me. I promise I'll change. Her sickly sweet tone startled the driver so badly his hand jerked on the wheel. And he hurriedly rolled up the privacy partition. I finally turned my head to look at her, thinking to myself, I was actually just deep in thought earlier. I wasn't ignoring her on purpose. I mulled it over for a second, then asked her straight up, when you talk to Tu Antoine at home, do you always give her such a cold stare? Si Zhao froze for a second, before she realized who Tu Antoine even was. She carefully thought back to how things went at the dinner table, and replied with a hint of uncertainty, I was acting perfectly normal. I wasn't giving her a cold look on purpose, was I? But then she seemed even more unsure of herself, and actually turned to ask me, wait, did I really look that cold earlier? I nodded, completely calling her out on it. 1 second you were smiling warmly at me and Wanwan, and the very next, you were glaring at Tu Antoine. Do you have some kind of grudge against her? She immediately got defensive. How is that even possible? I risked my life to give birth to both of them. I love them with all my heart. But I wasn't buying it. But you're definitely playing favorites. You have total double standards when it comes to your two daughters. Hearing this, it finally clicked for her, and she let out a quiet sigh of relief. She then explained, that's only because the two of them are going down completely different paths in the future. The responsibilities they carry are completely different. Youchu is going to run a massive corporate group all by herself one day. So of course, I have to be stricter with her. But as for Si Yu, She was always so sick when she was little. It's only natural that the family spoiled her a bit. She watched my face carefully, then went on. Since CU was honestly a lost cause, I originally planned to hand the C group over to Youchu as well. But then CU would be losing out. So, I figured I'd try to make it up to her in other ways. Good lord, my brain had already cooked up a whole bunch of crazy rich family drama. And yet, the truth was just this shockingly basic? What kind of great mother is that? I opened my mouth a million times, but I literally didn't even know where to start. Si Jiao noticed the shift in my expression and quietly slipped her hand into mine. I took a deep breath, and suddenly asked her a question. Do you know why Li Chengqian rebelled? Si Jiao just stared at me, completely clueless. Who is Li Chengqian? My eyes instantly widened. Unfreaking believable. No wonder Wanwan is always dead last in her exams, I muttered. Turns out, she got it all from you. She rubbed her nose, looking a little embarrassed. Her brain practically short-circuited for a good minute before she finally dug the name out from some dusty corner of her memory. Oh, I know. He was Emperor Taizong's crown prince. And that was it. Nothing else. I was so mad I could feel steam coming out of my ears. I honestly felt the sheer exhaustion of tutoring a kid with their homework. Forget it. Just forget it. Go play in the dirt or something. Right on cue, the car pulled up to the school gates. I immediately shoved the door open and got out. But who would have guessed Si Jiao was going to act like a clingy puppy? She followed right on my heels. I whipped around, and firmly pushed her back into the car. Hurry up and get to the office. Grandpa got Xiaoming a spot in the C group, so make sure you show her the ropes. She was still pouting, but I want to go listen to your lecture. I want to soak up some of that top student energy. She even raised a hand, swearing on it. I promise I'll just sit quietly in the back row. I absolutely won't bother you. No way, I rejected her flat out. Get back to the office and do your job. And while you're at it, take a good, hard look at what happened today. Si Jiao let out a pitiful little okay. Once I was out of sight, Si Jiao glanced at the driver and asked out of nowhere. Do you know why Li Chengqian rebelled? The driver looked completely baffled. Who's Li Chengqian? Si Jiao let out a cold scoff. Deadpan, she spat out 2 words. Total dunce. The driver instantly froze. Boss Sis' ability to switch personalities was literally like dealing with 2 different people. Meanwhile, Si Jiao leaned back in her seat, tugged at her collar, whipped out her phone, and started furiously typing into the search bar. 30 minutes later, the car pulled up to the company building. She looked out the window, clearly still totally stumped. Si Jiao shoved her phone back into her pocket and stepped out of the car, acting perfectly normal. But the second she stepped into the office, the curiosity was eating away at her. She couldn't focus at all. What on earth did he want her to reflect on? What did she do wrong? And what the hell did any of this have to do with that Li Chengqian guy? Just then, Assistant Lin walked in to drop off some files. Desperate times calling for desperate measures, Si Jiao grabbed her arm. Do you ever make your husband mad? Assistant Lin froze, but then it clicked. The boss's husband was back in town. She chuckled on the inside. That's what you get for playing it cool and ignoring my messages. Look at you now. She had only been back for a single night and already made him mad, but on the surface, she remained perfectly calm. Couples are bound to have a little friction. Just shower him with gifts. Sweet talk him a bit, and he'll cool off in no time. Si Jiao looked thoughtful. Then, she dropped the real question. So, do you know who Li Chengqian is? Why did he rebel? Assistant Lin was a top-tier grad from a prestigious university, after all. Hearing this, she nodded immediately. Boss C, you mean the deposed crown prince of Emperor Taizong of Tang? But her mind started racing, instantly connecting it to the corporate rumors flying around about Si Xiaoming. A whole rich family soap opera started playing out in her head. Was the husband getting mad at the CEO because the illegitimate daughter was trying to seize power? She quickly locked onto the most critical reason for Li Chengqian's rebellion, a father's blatant favoritism toward another son. It gave him a massive sense of crisis, which meant the husband was using this to send a warning to Boss C. He didn't want Si Xiaoming threatening his own daughter's status. Assistant Lin felt like she had completely cracked the case, but how could an outsider like her ever dare to say that out loud? Staring into Si Jiao's expectant eyes, she broke out in a cold sweat. Terrified she'd be silenced on the spot if she spoke up, she nervously stammered. Haha, I actually don't know that much about it. I just know he was the crown prince, and then he got deposed. Si Jiao instantly looked away, her face turning ice cold once again. Alright, you can leave. Assistant Lin's first instinct was to bolt, but as she turned around, she suddenly remembered something. Boss Liang is hosting a cocktail party tonight. He specifically invited you. Si Jiao wanted to turn it down at first. She wanted to go home and spend time with me. But the moment she thought of Si Xiaoming, she paused. It really was time to take her daughter out to see the world. So, Si Jiao finally nodded. Notify Si Xiaoming for me. Tell her she's coming with me tonight. After a moment's thought, she picked up her phone and shot Shen Youchu a text as well. If their own mother was working this hard, Neither of her daughters was getting a free pass to slack off. And absolutely no one was allowed to pester her husband. Hearing this order, Assistant Lin's expression instantly turned knowing. No wonder the husband was so threatened. Keeping the girl by her side at public events? She was clearly grooming her to be the heir. She strutted out of the CEO's office with an air of smug superiority, feeling like she was the only one who saw the real truth. And when she saw Si Xiaoming grinning from ear to ear, it just confirmed everything. This was an absolute power play. Meanwhile, Si Xiaoming was in a phenomenally good mood all day. Every time she thought about me being her biological father, she was so thrilled she couldn't wipe the smile off her face. But when Assistant Lin deadpanned Si Zhaozhao's orders to her, her smile froze. Her feelings instantly became complicated. Was Si Zhaozhao really taking her out to network? Was she finally going to acknowledge her as her daughter in front of everyone? Still, she didn't refuse. This could only be a good thing for her. In the future, she'd be able to make her own money and spoil Si Zhaozhao with it. At that thought, the smile returned to Si Xiaomeng's face. After work, Si Zhaozhao fired off a string of texts to me, her mood finally improving. The Maybach rolled to a slow stop at the hotel entrance. She stepped out with effortless grace, but didn't rush inside. Instead, she stood by the car, casually adjusting her cuff with one hand. The overwhelming aura of a powerful boss instantly silenced the crowd around her. Just as everyone was wondering why she was waiting, two young figures emerged from the car. On the left was Shen Youchu. On the right was Si Xiaoming. She tilted her head to look at Shen Youchu, with a playful glint in her eyes. Second sister, why are you ignoring me? Shen Youchu couldn't even be bothered to give her a glance, but Si Xiaoming was determined to tease her. If you don't say something, I'm gonna start shouting. The next second, her mouth was clamped shut. Her pretty, peach blossom eyes just blinked, absolutely loving the sight of her sister totally losing her cool. Flushed with embarrassment, Shen Youchu snapped. Stop calling me Tuan Kun, and stop calling me second sister. Scrambling for an excuse, she quickly added, Dad said your true identity can't be revealed yet. Don't blow your cover. The amusement in Si Xiaomeng's eyes only deepened. Once Shen Youchu finally let go of her, she drawled out a lazy, alright, fine. Si Zhaozhao just watched them quietly in the background, far too preoccupied to scold them. She was still brooding over the things I had told her to reflect on. Just then, a car pulled up, and Su Qianqin slowly stepped out. She spotted Si Xiaoming immediately, a flash of surprise crossing her eyes. She hadn't expected Si Zhaozhao to bring her out in public. Was she really planning to groom her as the heir? Su Qianqin quickly masked her emotions and walked over to greet them. President Si. But Si Zhaozhao merely gave a stiff nod and walked right past her, heading inside. She harbored deep resentment toward Su Qianqin, and honestly couldn't stand the sight of the entire Su family. Si Xiaoming, however, stared at a visibly haggard Su Qianqin with a complicated mix of emotions. Wearing a mischievous smirk like she was just there for the drama. Auntie, what brings you here? I totally thought you'd be stuck at home taking care of my uncle. At those words, Su Qianqin's expression instantly darkened. Nonsense. Since when do you have an uncle? Si Xiaoming gave her a cheeky grin. Oh, so he's not an uncle yet? She reached out and patted Su Qianqin playfully on the shoulder. Auntie, that's really not cool of you. The guy already came knocking at your door. So you can't exactly deny him an official title, right? With that said, she completely ignored the woman's furious glare and hurried off to catch up with Si Zhaozhao. The moment the mother and her two daughters stepped into the banquet hall, the noisy room went dead silent. Eyes locked onto them like a tidal wave. The crowd's gaze darted back and forth between Si Xiaoming and Shen Youchu, sparking a flurry of eager whispers. Who are those two behind President Si? I only recognize Shen Youchu. What about the other one? She's an absolute carbon copy of President Si. That's gotta be the youngest daughter, right? But wait, I heard the Si family's illegitimate daughter joined the company. You don't think that's her, do you? No way. President Si absolutely despises that illegitimate daughter. Why would she ever parade her around in public? Just then, a few business partners strolled over. Ah, you brought both of your daughters along today. Si Zhaozhao nodded, clinking glasses with them. The kids are grown up now. I figured it was time to bring them out to broaden their horizons. Someone praised Shen Youchu for being young and promising, then immediately shifted their attention to Si Xiaoming. And this must be your youngest daughter, yes? She looks exactly like you, President Si. Are you getting her ready to learn the ropes of the family business? The moment those words were spoken, a heavy silence fell over the surrounding crowd. But Si Zhaozhao shot back first. You're thinking of my youngest daughter, Si Yu. She's under a lot of pressure in her senior year of high school, so she couldn't make it. As she spoke, she patted Si Xiaoming on the shoulder, gently pushing her forward. This is my other daughter, Si Xiaoming. She's interning at C Group right now. I hope you'll all look out for her from now on. The crowd let out a collective gasp. It really is that illegitimate daughter. I can't believe the eldest young master of the Shen family put up with this. But everyone here was a sly old fox, so they quickly recovered and started showering her with compliments. But right at that moment, Su Qianqin walked over, looking completely astonished. You really have guts, Boss C. I heard about that piece of land in the south of the city. Such a massive project, and you're actually putting a rookie like Xiaoming in charge? Si Zhaozhao froze for a second. How come she didn't know about this? Si Xiaoming, however, didn't panic at all. She slowly stepped forward. That's right. Grandpa said it'd be good practice for me. But I'm pretty confident in myself. What do you think, Auntie? Su Qianqin's temple twitched. Well, your skills are naturally impressive, Xiaoming. After a few rounds of verbal sparring, Su Qianqin was certain of the land's value. She had to snatch up this project to prove herself. Meanwhile, Shen Youchu spotted Guan Mushin and Lu Zicheng. Just as she was about to go over to them, the two of them walked straight past. Their eyes completely glossed over Shen Youchu, landing dead on Si Xiaomeng's face instead. Their expressions shifted slightly. Guan Mushin spoke up, her voice dripping with provocation. Boss Si sure is in high spirits, openly parading two daughters around. Aren't you afraid Shen Chen might get mad? The moment those words dropped, the atmosphere froze instantly. The onlookers took the hint and quickly scattered. Hearing Guan Mushin's pointed remarks, Si Zhaozhao's face immediately darkened. This woman had been lusting after her man for years. No way in hell was she going to be polite. So, Si Zhaozhao fired right back. I wouldn't worry about that if I were you, Boss Guan. Instead of sticking your nose in my business, you should go on some blind dates. Give it another 2 years, and you'll have one foot in the grave, still dying a lonely spinster. She raised an eyebrow with a smug smirk. Unlike me, who has Shen Chen right by my side. Hearing this made even Si Xiaoming secretly click her tongue. Was her mouth really that toxic? And sure enough, Guan Mushin was so furious that her gentle facade was slipping. Her words grew even more venomous. Back then, you only managed to seduce Shen Chen with that pretty face of yours. But you're way past 18 now. But Shen Chen is just as handsome as ever. People are lining up to throw themselves at him. What makes you think you even stand a chance anymore? Shen Youchu was absolutely dumbfounded. Was this really the same gentle and polite Auntie Guan? Even Lu Zekeng's eyes went wide, hurriedly tugging at the unhinged Guan Mushin. But before Guan Mushin could say another word, a dark, chilling aura rolled off Si Zhaozhao. Veins popping on her hand, she grabbed Guan Mushin right by the collar. Because I gave him 5 damn daughters, that's why. For the girls' sake, Shen Chen would never abandon me. As long as we aren't divorced. You can take all those little fantasies of yours and shove them. Guan Mushin's eyes went wide with shock. You're actually trying to use children to tie Shen Chen down? You're shameless. Seeing that the two of them were about to start swinging, Lu Zicheng and Shen Youchu desperately rushed in to break up the fight. Si Xiaoming, on the other hand, was watching the whole thing with absolute delight. Practically wishing she had some popcorn to snack on. What a spectacular show. Anyway, as long as she had her dad, that's all that mattered. If her dad ended up dumping this old woman, she really wouldn't mind introducing him to a few 18-year-old college girls. Once the two of them finally calmed down, Lu Zicheng pushed Guan Mushin away. His icy gaze landed on Si Zhaozhao. If you can't handle your own family drama, and let Shen Chen suffer, I really wouldn't mind giving Guan Mushin a hand. With that said, he grabbed Guan Mushin and walked right out. Si Xiaoming looked at Si Zhaozhao's dark, furious face and immediately started rubbing salt in the wound. Guess relying on your looks really isn't a long-term strategy, huh? Your beauty's fading, and so is his love. That felt like another knife straight to Si Zhaozhao's chest. She wanted nothing more than to grab a needle and sew that brat's mouth shut. Seeing her expression turn murderous, Si Xiaoming quickly backed up a few steps. She pulled Shen Youchu in front of her as a human shield, poking her head out to taunt her. If you even dare touch me, I'm going straight to Dad to tell on you. Si Zhaozhao's face contorted with rage. You ungrateful little brat, such a rebellious kid. Shen Youchu sighed helplessly, massaging her temples. Thank God it was crowded in here, otherwise she would have been forced to play the literal pillar in their little game of cat and mouse. Meanwhile, a cold drizzle began to fall from the sky. Having just finished her tutoring session, Si was slumped in the backseat, mumbling vocabulary words under her breath. It was giving Zhang Pei a massive headache. Unable to take it anymore, she smacked Si right on the thigh. Could you please mutter something else? Just as Si turned the page. The car let out a screeching wail as it slammed on the brakes. Si's head jerked forward, smashing right into the front seat. What's going on? The terrified driver quickly turned around. Miss, a delivery driver just crashed right in front of our car. Startled, Si gasped. Did you hit them? No. She slipped and fell on her own. It had absolutely nothing to do with us. Still, Si frowned in concern. She set her book down, pushed the door open, and stepped out. I'm gonna go see if they're okay. Rubbing her sore head, Zhang Pei followed right behind her. As soon as they got out, they saw a rider in a bright yellow delivery uniform. She was struggling to lift her fallen scooter, with the food orders scattered all over the wet pavement. She looked completely miserable. Si immediately rushed over to help pull the scooter up. Looking at the delivery girl, who seemed to be right around her own age, she asked, Are you alright? Are you hurt anywhere? No. The girl's voice was low and muffled. She gave a curt reply and didn't say another word. But to their surprise, the moment Zhang Pei got a good look at her face, she let out a gasp of absolute shock. Zhang Yuding? The freezing rain clung to Yuding's messy hair, standing in stark contrast to Zhang Pei's pristine and dry look. Thoroughly confused, Zhang Pei asked, "It's so late. What on earth are you doing out here delivering food?" Yu thought the name sounded familiar, but she just couldn't place it. "Wait, you guys know each other?" Zhang Pei nodded. "Yeah, she's my neighbor. We practically grew up together." Zhang Yuding slowly raised her eyes. The pouring rain between them felt like a massive, uncrossable chasm, sharply dividing the clean, wealthy girls standing by the luxury car, and the miserable, soaking wet girl on the ground, into two entirely different worlds. Her knuckles turned stark white as she gripped her scooter, and she squeezed out just a few words. "Just working part-time," she finished. Zhang Yuding quickly lowered her head and started cleaning up the mess all over the ground. Zhang Pei immediately crouched down with practiced ease, quickly gathering the scattered lunchboxes. She kept asking, "Aren't you working as a laborer at the construction site? Why are you out delivering food too?" Zhang Yuding's hands never stopped moving, but she didn't answer. Seeing the two of them busy, Yu felt bad just standing there, so she crouched down to help too. "You just fell off your bike, you must be scraped up. I'll have the driver take you to the hospital to get checked out in a bit." The helmet hid Yuding's expression, and her voice remained flat. "No need, and you guys don't have to help me either. I can manage on my own." But Zhang Pei just looked over at Yu. "Yu, get back in the car. A rich girl like you isn't used to doing this kind of dirty work." Since Zhang Pei was helping, there was no way Yu was going back to the car alone. "Don't worry, I'm not some useless brat who can't take care of herself." After clearing the mess, Zhang Yuding looked at the ruined food on the ground and let out a heavy sigh. But Yu didn't take no for an answer, throwing an arm over her shoulder. "Since you're Zhang Pei's friend, that makes you my friend too. And honestly, we're partly to blame for you crashing just now. Come with me to the hospital to get checked. I'll pay the medical bills." She glanced at Yuding's electric scooter, then looked at her driver, and an idea flashed in her mind. "Uncle Wang, get out. I'm driving the car. You ride this scooter back to their apartment complex." The driver's face was full of question marks. The very next second, Yu actually pulled the helmet right off Zhang Yuding's head and shoved it onto Uncle Wang's head. "She lives in the same building as Zhang Pei. You know the address. When we get back, I'll have my mom give you a bonus." Hearing the word bonus, the driver's eyes instantly lit up. He hopped onto the little scooter without hesitation. But after rolling out about 2 meters, he reversed back, looking worried. "Miss, are you absolutely sure you know how to drive?" Yu immediately patted her chest in guarantee. "Relax, I have my driver's license." With that, the driver zoomed off and disappeared. Zhang Yuding stayed silent for a moment before finally speaking up. "I crashed on my own. It has nothing to do with you guys. I'm perfectly fine." But Yu wasn't listening at all. "We still have to go get you checked. What if you have internal bleeding or something?" Yu honked the horn twice and urged them. "Hurry up and get in." Seeing this, Zhang Pei half dragged, half pulled Yuding into the car. Then, she stared nervously at Yu. "Are you really sure you know how to drive?" Yu turned her head and glared at her. "I got my license this summer. I even posted about it on my feed. How could you not know?" Zhang Pei rubbed her nose awkwardly. "I was busy working part-time all summer. I didn't see your posts." Yu didn't make a fuss about it. She started the engine like a pro, slammed her foot on the gas, and the car instantly hit the road. But half an hour later, Zhang Pei stared out the window as one by one electric scooters slowly passed their car. The silence was deafening. Zhang Yuding felt completely on edge, terrified that her soaking wet clothes would ruin the expensive car seats. She glanced down at the scrape on her elbow and spoke up tentatively. "Maybe, we should just skip the hospital. I feel like the scratch is already healing." Yu's face was dead serious. "Quiet, the roads are slick in the rain. I'm driving, and I can't afford to be distracted." Zhang Yuding quietly shut her mouth. Half an hour later, the car finally pulled up to the hospital entrance. But the moment Yu parked, she looked back and saw Zhang Yuding had already fallen fast asleep on Zhang Pei's shoulder. The dark, heavy bags under her eyes were impossible to hide. Zhang Pei looked completely helpless too. Zhang Yuding had been so stiff and awkward when she first got in. But the gentle rocking of the car was just too much, and exhaustion completely took over. She checked her phone for the time. It was almost 10:30. Zhang Pei gently patted the sleeping girl's arm. "Zhang Yuding, wake up. We're at the hospital." Zhang Yuding groggily forced her eyes open and let out a tired yawn. Realizing she had dozed off, she instantly shot up straight in her seat. "But Yu shook her head. "It's fine. Let's head inside. Let's get you checked out." The three of them hurried straight to the ER. The doctor on call gave her a quick look and confirmed it was just a surface scrape. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But as the doctor was bandaging her up, he suddenly started lecturing her in a serious tone. "Young lady, you are incredibly weak right now. For one, you're severely malnourished. You need to eat way more protein. And 2, your body is completely burnt out. You are severely sleep deprived. You can't just stay up all night playing video games. The doctor clearly thought she was just some rebellious teenager. Zhen Yuting clenched her fists tight. Her bangs fell forward, hiding her eyes, leaving her looking completely miserable and withdrawn. But she didn't say a single word in her defense. She just nodded quietly. I understand. But surprisingly, the second they stepped out of the hospital, Zhang Pei absolutely lost it. She grabbed Zhen Yuting by the arm and demanded, "Are you seriously working 2 jobs a day right now? Construction worker by day, and food delivery by night?" Zhen Yuting kept her head down, still refusing to say a word. "Answer me, Zhen Yuting." Zhang Pei was usually so sweet, but this time, she was genuinely furious. Even Yu flinched a little. Zhen Yuting finally, slowly raised her eyes. Her dark eyes were cold and completely dead. "That is none of your business." Zhang Pei let out a bitter, angry laugh. "Wow, none of my business, huh?" She was so mad she could barely speak, glaring at her with absolute disappointment. She was a girl with so much potential, yet she was throwing her life straight into the garbage. Right then, Zhang Pei suddenly remembered that massive drama thread on the school forum. The one where Su Jingchen cornered Yu and started spouting total nonsense. In all the pictures, he was wearing a different designer outfit every time. She used to think his girlfriend bought them for him. But looking at the situation now, Zhang Pei's eyes went wide. She grabbed Zhen Yuting again. "Are you killing yourself at work just to buy designer clothes for Su Jingchen?" A flicker of emotion flashed in Zhen Yuting's eyes. "I knew it. I knew I guessed right." Zhang Pei reached out and jabbed her in the forehead, her voice going up a few octaves. "What the hell are you thinking? With that kind of money, you could easily go to college. You shouldn't be throwing it all away on Su Jingchen. You're letting your own life rot in the gutter." Yu finally seemed to process what was going on. The way she looked at Yuting shifted again and again. What a massive doormat. Not only are you supporting Su Jingchen, but you're actually funding his dates with his girlfriend? But Zhen Yuting just yanked her arm out of my grip and hurried away. Zhang Pei was so furious that smoke was practically coming out of her ears. Yu quickly held her back. "Just, let it go, let it go. Stop trying to save everyone. Just respect her choices." Zhang Pei's chest was aching from the sheer frustration of it all. "We grew up together. How am I supposed to just stand by and watch her ruin her life?" And so, on the drive back, the atmosphere in the car was suffocatingly quiet. Zhang Pei had climbed straight into the passenger seat, refusing to even look at the brainwashed doormat sitting in the back. Heaven knows what Zhen Yuting was thinking about. She just stared blankly out the window in absolute silence. After getting out of the car, they completely ignored each other. They didn't speak a single word the entire way home. Zhen Yuting stared at the tightly shut bedroom door and closed her eyes in exhaustion. She dragged her heavy feet upstairs. But the second she opened her door, she saw a perfectly groomed young man sitting on her couch. "Zhen Yuting, you're finally back." Su Jingchen didn't even glance at the bruises on her body. He immediately started whining. "I've been waiting for you for over 10 minutes. What took you so long?" Zhen Yuting simply changed her shoes in silence and walked in. "What piece of clothing have you got your eye on this time?" Su Jingchen froze instantly. His eyes quickly welled up with red tears. "Zhen Yuting, am I really just that shallow and materialistic to you?" But Zhen Yuting was truly at the end of her rope. She had been working herself to the bone, day and night. Her body was completely shattered. Listening to Su Jingchen's crying and complaining, her patience completely snapped. "I'm exhausted. I just want to rest." Tears were still clinging to Su Jingchen's eyelashes, his face completely and utterly shocked. Usually, the moment he shed a single tear, Zhen Yuting would rush to comfort him. But this time, she was brushing him off so coldly. "Zhen Yuting, you know the situation. Duoduo's family already looks down on me. I only buy this stuff so I don't embarrass her." He sniffled, huge tears rolling down his cheeks. "I can't use her money. I can't give her family another reason to despise me. Are you looking down on me now too?" She pinched the bridge of her nose in sheer exhaustion. "I'm not." "Yes, you are." Su Jingchen aggressively wiped away his tears. "Have you forgotten? When we were kids and everyone bullied you for not having a mom, it was my mother who protected you. She was the one who brought you into our home for dinner." At the mention of the incredibly gentle Aunt Su from her memories, Zhen Yuting fell dead silent. "I haven't forgotten. What exactly did you come here for?" Seeing her tone soften, Su Jingchen immediately changed his tune. He gave a pathetic little sniffle. "This weekend, Duoduo is taking me to a fancy banquet. It's my first time attending anything as her official boyfriend. I'm terrified of embarrassing her." Zhen Yuting understood. The knuckles gripping her phone slowly turned white. "All right, I'll transfer you 2,000 in a bit." Su Jingchen stammered, his voice hesitant. "But, her friends are all rich kids from wealthy families, so 2,000 might not be enough." Zhen Yuting just felt completely exhausted. Duoduo was never in the same social class as them to begin with. 2,000 was already a lot for them. But, Su Jingchen's tears started falling again as he spoke. "If my clothes look too cheap, they're going to laugh at me." Zhen Yuting didn't say a word. Her dark eyes were as lifeless as a pool of dead water. It wasn't until he had tired himself out from crying that he realized she was just sitting there quietly on the couch, her eyes closed, resting. She was treating him like he didn't even exist. His sobbing abruptly stopped. The room fell deathly silent. She slowly opened her eyes. Her voice was low, completely devoid of warmth. I fell off my bike while delivering food tonight. I was almost crushed to death by an oncoming car. Su Jingchen jumped in shock. Oh my god, are you okay? Her voice remained completely flat. I came back late because I had to go to the hospital to get patched up. The doctor said I'm malnourished and severely overworked, but to her surprise, the tears he had just managed to hold back started rolling down his face in huge drops again. Are you blaming me? She let out a heavy sigh. No, but all the food deliveries got ruined tonight. I had to pay out of pocket to cover it all. So right now, 2,000 is all I can give you. Hearing this, Su Jingchen knew that crying anymore wouldn't do him any good. He immediately wiped his tears away. Fine, 2,000 it is. Only after he left did Zheng Yuding's gaze slowly drift toward the calendar on the desk. Next Friday, that was the day her father was getting out of prison. When she was just a baby, he had been sentenced to 18 years in prison for getting into a massive gang fight. Her mom had run off with another man. Now, she couldn't even remember what her father looked like. Meanwhile, over at the Cloud Peak Villa, I finally saw my youngest daughter, Siyu, return home. The heavy weight on my chest lifted at last. You're still not used to driving, especially in this pouring rain. From now on, you cannot let the driver leave your side, you hear me? Siyu looked deeply touched. She hadn't expected that, this late at night, her father would still be sitting in the living room waiting for her. Just as she was about to throw herself into my arms, Si Jiao snatched the back of her collar with lightning speed. Hurry upstairs and take a hot shower. You're soaking wet, don't jump on your dad. After watching my daughter head safely upstairs, I finally turned around, glaring coldly at Si Jiao beside me. I told you to reflect on what you did. Well, have you figured it out yet? Si Jiao pursed her lips. One look at that face and I immediately knew. She hadn't reflected on a damn thing. So, I reached out, grabbed her by the tie, and yanked her forcefully toward me. The space between us completely vanished. I kept my grip on her, dragging her all the way back to our bedroom. I was just about to throw her onto the couch. But instead, she just followed the momentum of my pull and dropped straight to her knees on the floor. She shrank back timidly, dropping her head in defeat. Hubby, I'm so sorry. I instinctively leaned back. When I realized what was happening, I nudged her knee with my foot and said in annoyance, "Where did you learn this outdated feudal nonsense? Dropping to your knees at the drop of a hat. Get up." Only then did Si Jiao sit down next to me, looking all pitiful and wronged. Right then, I said coldly, "What I wanted you to reflect on was your favoritism." Si Jiao looked up in sheer panic. She frantically defended herself. I don't play favorites. She had it all figured out. We have 2 companies. The oldest and the second oldest get 1 each. And as for number 5, we can just make it up to her in other ways. That's perfectly fair. I was so mad I almost laughed. So you're telling me you learned absolutely nothing from history, huh? She gently tugged at my arm, trying to act cute to get away with it. But I shook her off. I kept a straight face and broke it down for her. Back then, Li Shimin figured that since Li Chengqian was already the crown prince, it was completely fine to spoil his second son a bit more. But then Li Chengqian turned around and rebelled. Why do you think that happened? Si Jiao immediately put both hands on her knees, looking exactly like a little kid paying attention in class. Why, first of all, it's the mother's differential treatment. You think because the second child is going to inherit the family business, you need to hire a bunch of tutors for her, having everyone crowd around her, telling her what to do. That kind of high pressure will warp a person's mind. I pushed further, especially when compared to Wanwan. Tu Antoine has to be absolutely perfect just to get a single compliment. But Wanwan gets to play around without a care in the world. That glaring double standard is practically a recipe for tearing sisters apart. Si Jiao's eyes went wide. She was an only child, she had never even considered any of this. I couldn't help but sigh, because in that novel about Shen Youchu, I read the misery between every line. A misery rooted in a childhood deprived of love. When she got a stomach ulcer from overworking, Si Jiao barely even cared. The second her younger sister, Siyu, got sick, she would be worried sick. Shen Youchu would watch her mother and sister bond with such envy, yet she never fought for herself. The book vaguely mentioned that after a massive tragedy hit the family, Si Jiao's temper became incredibly volatile, and their mother-daughter relationship completely froze over. Connecting that to Siyu's novel, I instantly knew what that tragedy was. It was Siyu's death. The family's little ray of sunshine was gone. There was no one left to bridge the emotional gap between me, Si Jiao, and Shen Youchu. Thinking about all this, I couldn't help but wonder, if Wanwan hadn't died so young, would there have been a chance to fix things between the mother and daughter? Of course, there was another grim possibility, that the bond between the two sisters would eventually rot away entirely under their mother's blatant favoritism. For the very first time, Si Jiao was taking this seriously. What she always thought was fair, was never actually fair at all. So, I kept guiding her. Think about it. If Tu Antoine and Wanwan made the exact same mistake, would you treat them both the same way? Si Zhaozhao barely even needed to think. She already knew the answer. No, before she's a CEO. She is your daughter first, I told her, emphasizing every single word. You can't just strip away your role as a mother and treat her like she's one of your employees. Si Zhaozhao really took it to heart. The more she thought about it, the worse she felt. I patted her on the shoulder. The crying baby gets the candy, sure, but we can't just give all our attention to our fifth child. We need to learn to treat them all equally. Si Zhaozhao suddenly threw her arms around me. Her voice trembling, she cried, honey, am I a huge failure as a mom? No, you're not. You're already doing amazing. I praised her with absolute sincerity. We're both young. You carrying the weight of this family all by yourself is incredible. The light returned to Si Zhaozhao's eyes. I swear, I'm going to be so good to our daughters from now on. Don't wait for, from now on. Do it tonight. My expression shifted instantly. You're going to sleep with Tuan Tuan tonight. Go bond with your daughter. Even as I shoved her out of the bedroom, Si Zhaozhao still hadn't fully processed what was happening. Just then, Si Yu, who was heading downstairs for a midnight snack, saw her own mother getting kicked out of the room. She immediately put her hands on her hips and burst into wild laughter. Ha ha ha, oh my god, Mom, what on earth did you do to get kicked out by Dad? Si Zhaozhao's face darkened, she shot her a fierce glare, then spun around on her heel, leaving her with nothing but a freezing cold shoulder and a furious scolding. What are you wandering around for in the middle of the night? Get your butt back to bed. Si Yu made a face at her mom's back and darted straight into the kitchen. Meanwhile, Si Zhaozhao marched over to Shen Youchu's room. Standing at the door, she felt so awkward she didn't know what to do with her hands. She carried a lot of guilt towards her eldest daughter, but she just couldn't bring herself to say anything sweet. For a moment, she was completely at a loss. Taking a deep breath, she raised her hand and knocked on the door. A full minute passed. There wasn't a single sound from inside. So, Si Zhaozhao just pulled out her phone. She dialed her number right then and there. She absolutely had to sleep in this room tonight, or her husband was going to be even angrier tomorrow. Shen Youchu, who had been fast asleep, was jolted awake by her ringtone. Groggy and confused, she glanced at the screen, and couldn't believe it was her mom calling. It was past midnight. Why on earth was her mom calling now? Shen Youchu's heart started pounding with anxiety. She hurriedly picked up, hearing the sleepy, raspy voice on the other end. Si Zhaozhao fell silent for a second. Shen Youchu's brain was still completely foggy as she mumbled out. Mom, why are you calling so late? Did something happen? Si Zhaozhao scrambled for the right words. I just wanted to wake you up so you could go back to sleep. Shen Youchu's head was spinning with confusion. Just open the door. I'm right outside your room, her mom added. Still completely dazed, Shen Youchu actually walked over and pulled the door open. She stared at Si Zhaozhao standing there, completely in shock. Si Zhaozhao looked her daughter up and down. She had grown so tall. Almost as tall as she was. Maybe it was because she had just woken up. But Shen Youchu's pajamas were rumpled and her hair was sticking up everywhere. All her usual icy aloofness was gone, replaced by a rare, soft, girlish innocence. It finally hit Si Zhaozhao. She was the exact same age as Si Yu. But Si Zhaozhao always treated her like an adult, while treating Si Yu like a little kid who hadn't grown up. Shen Youchu stared at me for a long time, looking a bit confused. Mom? Si Zhaozhao took a step forward, and announced, I'm sleeping in your room tonight. Saying that, she swaggered right in. She had absolutely no intention of explaining. Even though Shen Youchu didn't understand what was going on, she still made way for her. She rubbed her eyes, wondering if she was dreaming. How many years had it been since she slept in the same bed as her mom? Felt like, not since Dad went missing. It had never happened again. Just then, she watched as Si Zhaozhao expertly slipped under her covers. And finally couldn't hold back anymore. Mom, why do you suddenly want to sleep in my room? Did my dad kick you out? But that wasn't right. If that were really the case, her mom could totally just sleep in the guest room, or the study. Why insist on squeezing into the same bed with her? Si Zhaozhao's face instantly darkened. Like getting kicked out by her husband was something to be proud of? Each of these ungrateful girls just had to find exactly where to stab her in the heart. But she remembered my instructions, telling her to be gentle with her daughter. So she forced out a loving smile, her voice softening by several degrees. Come on, time for bed. Shen Youchu violently shuddered, all her sleepiness completely scared away. Are you possessed? With just one sentence, Si Zhaozhao's towering motherly love crumbled into an instant landslide. Get your ass over here and go to sleep. Now that's more like it. Shen Youchu quickly scrambled into bed, not daring to delay for a single second. Si Zhaozhao's chest heaved with anger. She knew it, she shouldn't give these ungrateful brats a nice attitude. The two of them lay in bed, with an invisible wall between them. The empty space in the middle was more than enough to fit two more CUs. Si Zhaozhao frowned and scooted a little closer to her daughter. But who would have thought, the moment Shen Youchu felt her move, she immediately scooted away too. Just as she kept edging outward, Si Zhao's voice drifted over coldly. Keep scooting and you might as well just sleep on the floor. Shen Youchu instantly froze. Then, Si Zhao reached out to tuck her in, and gently patted her shoulder. Softly coaxing her, Shen Yuchu's body was as stiff as a board, her eyes wide open in the dark. It wasn't until she heard the soft, steady breathing beside her ear that she finally started to relax, quietly turning her head to look at her mother's profile. Eventually, Shen Youchu couldn't fight off her sleepiness, and drifted off, sensing that her daughter was asleep. Si Zhao slowly opened her eyes. She reached out, pulled the blanket up a bit higher, turned the AC up by 2 degrees, and only then closed her eyes again. The next day, I saw Si Zhao and Tu Antoine coming out of the room at the same time. My eyes curving into a smile. I asked Tu Antoine, "Did you sleep well last night?" Shen Youchu nodded. Her mom was way quieter than Cu. Last night, she practically slept straight through until morning. She even had a dream for the first time in a long while. She dreamed of being carried on her mom's shoulders when she was little. She was still a little chubby girl, with mom pinching her soft, chubby little, running incredibly fast, with Cu following right behind, also pumping her little short legs, clapping her hands hard and shouting, "Sister is flying. I want to fly, too. Mommy, it is my turn. Fly, fly." The corners of her mouth curled up naturally. She was sleeping soundly. Seeing the mother and daughter getting along so well, I finally felt relieved. I gave Si Zhao an encouraging look, and she proudly tilted her chin up. I linked arms with my daughter and walked ahead, ready for breakfast. Wan stayed up late last night, so let's not wake her. We can eat first. Shen Youchu nodded. At the dining table, Si Zhao went into full loving mother mode. She used her chopsticks to pick up a soup dumpling, and placed it on the plate in front of Shen Youchu. "This one is delicious. Tu Antoine, you have to try it." After getting a smile from her, Si Zhao doubled down on her efforts. "Tu Antoine, eat your porridge slowly now. Careful, it is hot. Tu Antoine, give me your bowl. Mommy will get you some more. Do not spill it now. Ah, my little Tu Antoine is doing so well. You finished all your food all by yourself. Mommy is so proud of you." Shen Youchu shot me a look. Her eyes seemed to be screaming. Is my mom still possessed by a demon? Seeing that I was not going to intervene, Shen Youchu rubbed her arms, covered in goosebumps, and bolted out the front door like a ghost was chasing her. Si Zhao watched her daughter's retreating figure as she left for work, her eyes brimming with maternal love, and sighed. Tu Antoine really is such a good kid. So eager to get to work. Listening to this doting mother tone of hers, I honestly could not hold back, and threw back, "You are quite the good mother yourself." Hearing my compliment, Si Zhao finally smiled with total satisfaction, knowing that today was the day we would finally close the net on the trap we set for the Su family. A wave of anticipation washed over me. In a flash, it was the afternoon. I had just left the lab and was heading home. I never expected that while passing by the school's little grove, I would be stopped by a familiar figure. It was Wen Nuan. "Congratulations on escaping the hellhole, Wen," I said, looking at him, teasing him with a smile. The bright grin that had been on his face instantly froze the moment he heard my words. He paused for a second, blinking his eyes, filled with nothing but pure confusion. I was in no rush to explain, and just casually took a seat on the stone bench nearby. "A hellhole?" he muttered under his breath, sounding a bit hesitant. I would not really call it that. Looking at his totally naive expression, I let out a soft sigh in my head. This kid, he is just way too pure. Still, considering he had helped Si Xiaoming before, I was more than happy to give him a few pointers. "How is it not?" I asked, staring straight into his eyes. "Do you have any idea just how nasty the rumors about you have been all these years?" As soon as I said that, the light in his eyes noticeably faded, and he carefully watched my face. "I haven't heard them. Are they saying really awful things?" I nodded, deciding it was best to give him a heads up, to spare him an even harder blow later on. "What people are saying is honestly pretty ugly. I'm going to tell you the truth, so please don't get mad." My surprise, instead of shrinking back after hearing that, he gave a firm nod. "Please tell me, Professor. I won't get mad." He took a deep breath, as if making a firm decision. "No one has ever explained these things to me before. Those words you had Si Xiaoming pass on to me last time, they truly opened my eyes." Seeing him like this, I felt a slight sense of relief. So he really had been waiting here for days, just to thank me in person. He continued, his voice growing clearer and more resolute. "I've thought it all through now. I applied for a dorm at the university. I just want to learn how to be independent, and try my best not to rely on the Su family anymore. And to stop relying on my aunt." I could tell, it took immense courage and a long time of mentally preparing himself to finally take this difficult first step. In the past, he had never been away from his aunt for this long. I heard that when he decided to live on campus this time, the aunt who had always catered to his every whim actually flew into a rare, explosive rage. But he stuck to his guns anyway. This level of determination made me see him in a whole new light. Seeing that his mind was made up, I continued. People on the outside who don't know the truth, they're saying you're completely shameless. That you know perfectly well Su Qianqin is engaged, yet you have zero boundaries and keep getting in the middle of it. A lot of people are saying that the reason Su Qianqin hasn't gone through with the wedding all these years is because you're the one standing in the way. The moment the words left my mouth, the forced smile on Wen Nuan's face completely vanished without a trace. I didn't. It's not like that. He defended himself frantically, a heartbreaking sob catching in his throat. My aunt told me her position at the Su group wasn't stable yet. She said she had to focus on her career before getting married. Seeing him on the verge of tears, I quickly gave him a gentle pat on the back, soothing him. Of course, I know you're not that kind of person, but everyone else out there doesn't know that. I let out a heavy sigh, deciding it was time for some tough love. You've probably heard that I was missing for years and only just came back recently. Even I've heard these rumors. Do you really think Su Qianqin doesn't know about them? Wen Nuan's face instantly drained of color. The perfect, heroic image of his aunt that he held in his heart was crumbling to pieces, bit by bit. He muttered under his breath, "Auntie, that excuse of hers is an obvious lie." I ruthlessly tore down that flimsy, hypocritical facade of hers. If she genuinely wanted to build her career, she would have married him as soon as possible. To maximize her advantages, not string her fiancé along, while keeping you tangled up in this weird, ambiguous relationship. You were just a kid back then. As your guardian, Su Qianqin completely failed to guide you on the right path. She is the one most at fault here. Therefore, moving out of the Su family's house is absolutely the right choice. Wen Nuan looked at me, his eyes brimming with tears. He unconsciously gripped my hand, clinging to it like his last lifeline. Teacher, what am I supposed to do now? He was naive, sure, but he wasn't stupid. He'd caught on to pretty much everything I was hinting at. His aunt had purposely led him on, making him fall for her, while all the nasty rumors were directed entirely at him. Meanwhile, her own reputation remained spotless, and she even got to play the noble, caring guardian. Watching his blank, shattered expression, I knew the reality had finally sunk in. It reminded me of the original plotline. That woman, Su Qianqin. She was a total hypocrite to her core, playing the role of a master hunter. She constantly manipulated Wen Nuan's emotions. She dared to do it, yet lacked the guts to admit it. She waited until the world had dragged his name through the mud. And just when he was on the brink of a total breakdown, she'd swoop in like some kind of savior, condescendingly handing out bits of her love. During all those heartbreaking, miserable days for him, it was actually Si Xiaoming who quietly stayed by his side. Two poor, mistreated souls, huddling together in the dark just to survive. But Su Qianqin would constantly get jealous over this, until the day she overheard Xiaoming telling him to leave the Su family. That's when she completely lost her mind, and started ruthlessly targeting her. Honestly, I suspect there was something sinister behind Xiaoming's death in the end, too. Unfortunately, the book never dropped a single clue about it, making it look like a tragic, random accident. Snapping back to reality, I reached out, gently patting the back of his freezing cold hand. I kept my voice as soft and comforting as possible. You're only 20. Your whole life is just beginning. Don't back yourself into a corner. And you certainly don't have to live out the rest of your life on the path Su Qianqin carved out for you. Looking straight into his eyes, I gave him some heartfelt encouragement. Take some time to really think about it. What are you passionate about? You're young, don't be afraid to mess up. Life gives you plenty of room to make mistakes. Once you step out and explore on your own, you'll see just how incredible the world out there really is. More importantly, you'll realize just how amazing you actually are. Watching his deeply thoughtful expression, I nodded to myself in satisfaction. This was exactly what I wanted, getting him to take charge of his own destiny, instead of living forever in Su Qianqin's toxic shadow. So, I offered a suggestion. You should go out and make some real friends. With your sweet personality, people are absolutely going to love you. Or, try picking up a few new hobbies. That way, whenever you're feeling down, you have something fun to clear your head. I had to help him find new emotional anchors. It was the only way to break his deep-rooted dependence on her. Then, I shifted gears, my tone turning deadly serious. But the most crucial thing is your independence. Even if the Su family cuts off every dime, you need to be capable of supporting yourself. He just nodded vigorously, taking it all in. I knew his tragic background. His parents had passed away when he was little, and he'd been taken in by the Su family. The savings his parents left behind hadn't been touched in all these years. It should definitely be enough to get him through college. Wen Nuan pulled himself together, squeezing my hand tightly. Looking at me with pure gratitude, he whispered, "Thank you, teacher. I'll definitely give it some serious thought when I get back." Seeing him smile again, I couldn't help but smile too. "Alright then, if you ever need any help from now on, just let me know. And stop calling me, Mr. Teacher. Just call me Uncle." Uncle. The little dimples on his cheeks made him look even more adorable. Hearing him call me, Uncle, just melted my heart. After saying goodbye to Wen Nuan, I immediately drove straight to the bidding event. Gripping the steering wheel, I kept track of the time in my head. I wondered how things were going on Si Zhaozhao's end. That big fish, Su Qianqin. Had she finally taken the bait? Si Zhaozhao, Si Xiaoming, and I had set this trap a long time ago. Xiaoming had intentionally leaked a document, one that looked highly confidential. It was actually packed with misleading information, just to lure Su Qianqin in. Right now, everything at the venue was probably playing out exactly as I'd predicted. Su Qianqin was likely soaking up the thrill of victory, giving my daughter that smug, condescending look of hers. And Xiaoming, she was definitely biting her tongue to keep from laughing. Playing the role of a devastated, bitter loser. By the time I finally made it to the venue, the bidding was already over. The guests were gathered around in small groups. But the atmosphere felt a little tense. I spotted Si Zhaozhao and Si Xiaoming immediately. Right beside them stood Su Qianqin, looking absolutely livid. The moment Xiaoming saw me, her eyes lit up and she hurried over. Keeping her voice low, she whispered excitedly, "Dad, you're finally here." You should have seen Su Qianqin's face just now. Her expressions were changing faster than a traffic light. Before I could even get a word in, I saw Su Qianqin fix her expression and stride right over to us on those long legs of hers. Her gaze landed on Si Zhaozhao, then shifted to Xiaoming, putting on the calm, composed air of a senior. "Xiaoming, I know this is your first time working on such a massive project. Don't beat yourself up over losing. There's always next time." I almost burst out laughing. Wow, she really knew how to put on a show. Xiaoming instantly went full drama queen, roaring back at her with eyes full of grief and anger. "How do you even have the nerve to say that? Su Corporation's reserve price barely edged out ours. Don't you dare tell me you didn't steal our proposal." Su Qianqin just shook her head, looking the picture of helpless pity. She looked over at Si Zhaozhao, eyeing her like she was dealing with a spoiled, unreasonable child. "President Si, Xiaoming is still young. It's just one little failure, and look at her, spouting absolute nonsense. You really should take her home and calm her down." Si Zhaozhao's face was as cold as ice. Her glare didn't hold a single ounce of warmth. "She is my daughter, so I won't be needing your parenting advice, President Su." Just like that, Su Qianqin was completely stopped in her tracks. She clearly hadn't expected Si Zhaozhao to back Xiaoming up so publicly. Su Qianqin's expression faltered, shifting awkwardly, before she finally forced a stiff smile. "My apologies, I was out of line. But, Xiaoming is my niece after all. I was just worried she might take the loss too hard." As she spoke, she suddenly glanced toward the entrance. "Oh, look, Xiaoming's father is here too. I wonder if President Si would do me the honor of grabbing a bite to eat together?" "Dad." Hearing that word, Xiaoming's eyes briefly lit up. But the moment she got a clear look at the man walking toward us, her smile completely vanished, dropping into a heavy scowl. I followed her gaze, turning to look as well. I saw Bai Yuntao wearing a burgundy velvet suit, with several of his shirt buttons left completely undone. He strutted over with an obnoxiously flamboyant swagger. His posture was tall and straight, with a greasy smirk plastered across his face, and his hair slicked back without a single strand out of place. He was practically reeking of heavy cologne. His slimy voice alone was enough to give me full-body goosebumps. He didn't even spare a single glance at his own biological daughter, Si Xiaoming. Instead, he made a beeline straight for Si Zhaozhao. The raw lust in his eyes was completely undisguised. I could clearly see Si Zhaozhao's face instantly darkened to an absolute extreme beside me. In those deep eyes of hers, that frantic, volatile energy was starting to churn once again. She had finally managed to calm down over the past few days since I came home. But in this exact moment, all that peace was on the verge of spiraling completely out of control again. Si Zhaozhao clenched her fists so tightly, as if she was desperately trying to hold something back. "Get the hell out of here." Bai Yuntao stopped dead in his tracks. His greasy smirk faltered, barely clinging to his face. And yet, he still wouldn't take a hint. He even had the nerve to use Si Xiaoming as a human shield. "Zhaozhao, it's been way too long since we last saw each other. For the sake of our kid, let's just grab a bite to eat together." As he said that, he reached out, trying to grab a hold of Si Xiaoming. Si Xiaoming looked absolutely sick to her stomach. She had carried childhood trauma from Bai Yuntao her whole life, and just the mere sight of him usually sent her into a panic. But this time, she took a deep breath, forcefully swallowing down every single urge to run away. Instead, that familiar, rebellious spark lit up in her eyes. She let out a dry scoff, and casually strolled a slow circle right around Bai Yuntao. She eyed him up and down like he was some kind of pathetic joke. "Tell me, why do you always go out of your way to humiliate yourself?" Bai Yuntao's face instantly dropped. He snapped harshly, "What the hell did you just say?" Si Xiaoming didn't raise her voice, but every single word cut through the air crystal clear. "I said, you're just an illegitimate bastard from the Su family." "Who fathered me? An illegitimate bastard of the Si family? How do you even have the shameless nerve to step foot outside? How could you even spew that garbage out of your mouth?" Wow, your skin is thicker than a damn brick wall. The second those words left her mouth, Bai Yuntao's face flushed a violent, ugly shade of purple. It looked like all the blood in his body had rushed straight to his head. Watching him stand there fuming with rage, the dark, heavy weight that Si Xiaoming had carried in her heart for years finally seemed to lift just a little bit. So, she just went all in, raising her voice even louder, making sure every single person around could hear exactly what the Su family was really like. Seriously, is everyone in the Su family this utterly shameless? The older generation runs around popping out a bunch of illegitimate kids, and the younger ones turn out completely worthless. Like father, like miserable son. Honestly, thank God my last name is Si and not Su. If it was, I'd rather just bash my own head in and die. That last insult was a massive, sweeping blow. It didn't just turn Su Qianqin and Bai Yuntao's faces black with rage, but even the Su family's third miss, who was just watching from the sidelines, looked completely mortified. But Si Xiaoming acted like she didn't even notice. She was on a roll now, getting more and more fired up. She even dragged her own mother into the crossfire. You just want to marry into the Si family to leech office, don't you? Why don't you take a good look in the mirror and see what a pathetic mess you are? With a face like that, you can't even compare to a fraction of the eldest Miss Qian. Si Zhaozhao would have to be completely blind to ever fall for you. As she said that, she slowly rolled her eyes up, shooting a dry, sideways glance right at Si Zhaozhao. Her voice dripped with pure sarcasm. Actually, scratch that. Her eyesight has always been absolutely terrible. One of you is an idiot, and the other is pure evil. You two are a match made in hell. Seriously, Boss Si, you really should just divorce young Master Shen. You don't deserve him. The veins on Si Zhaozhao's forehead throbbed wildly. She was obviously stung by her own daughter's harsh words. But on second thought, she slowly calmed down, a flash of guilt even crossing her eyes. Yeah, wasn't she exactly that? An idiot. Her daughter had been by her side all these years. And she never noticed a thing. She had let her suffer so much injustice. So she fully deserved getting mocked like this right now. At that thought, she somehow managed to talk herself out of being angry. It was as if getting roasted by her daughter was just a daily routine. The bystanders who hadn't managed to slip away yet heard this incredibly rebellious speech. And couldn't help but snort with laughter. Catching themselves, they quickly clamped their hands over their mouths, terrified of drawing fire. This was a classic case of mutual destruction, taking down the enemy at the cost of yourself. Bai Yuntao's face, meanwhile, had turned absolutely livid. He instinctively raised his briefcase, ready to hurl it right at Si Xiaoming's head. Si Xiaoming was quick on her feet. The split second she noticed him move, she darted swiftly behind Si Zhaozhao. But Si Zhaozhao stood perfectly still, shielding her daughter with one arm while her other hand reached out and caught the flying briefcase with dead-on precision. Then, without an ounce of mercy, she smashed the bag right back into Bai Yuntao's face. The contents crashed out, scattering all over the floor. You dare bully my daughter right in front of me? Do you think I'm dead? Si Zhaozhao's voice was so icy it sent shivers down everyone's spines. Bai Yuntao froze, as if he'd just been dumped into a freezer. He completely forgot about the stinging pain in his face. Just trembling in fear, he probably couldn't wrap his head around it. It wasn't like he hadn't treated Si Xiaoming this way before. Why was she so furious this time? Su Qianqin frowned deeply and stepped forward to play peacemaker. It's just a father disciplining his child. There's no need to blow things so out of proportion, right? Who's blowing things out of proportion? My cold, steady voice rang out at just the right moment. All eyes instantly snapped toward me. The bosses who had been trying to slip away suddenly weren't in such a rush anymore. They pretended to slowly pack up their documents, but their ears were completely perked up. A juicy showdown in a top-tier billionaire family? Who wouldn't want a front row seat to that? When Si Xiaoming saw me, her eyes immediately lit up. She opened her mouth to yell Dad, but caught a glimpse of Bai Yuntao's livid face. And forced the words right back down her throat. I looked at Si Xiaoming's glistening, wide eyes as she blinked frantically at me, absolutely begging for my help. I understood instantly. A silent smirk tugged at the corners of my mouth. I shifted my gaze to Su Qianqin, my tone turning to absolute ice. If you've got so much free time on your hands, you should go home and play some classical music for your own unborn baby. Su Qianqin glared at me with pure venom. She looked like she wanted to skin me alive. I knew that what I just said was basically a slap to the face. True enough, her expression turned incredibly ugly, and her words grew harsh. Boss C and my sister are having a discussion about parenting. You're an outsider, Mr. Li. There's really no need for you to butt in, is there? It was like Bai Yuntao suddenly found his backbone. He glared at me viciously, wishing he could vent every ounce of his rage on me. Talk about sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. I'm disciplining my own daughter. What the hell does it have to do with you? Si Xiaoming is boss sis and my daughter. No matter how jealous you are, you can't deny that fact. Saying that, he smugly puffed out his chest and shot me a disgustingly arrogant look. Are you just bitter because my daughter got into the C Corporation? And came here specifically to pick a fight? Looking at his incredibly smug face, I just gave a faint smile and didn't bother replying. The next second, I simply wound my arm all the way back. Smack. A crisp slap echoed out, and Bai Yuntao's cheek swelled up right before my eyes. I've been way too nice to you, haven't I? I've been wanting to hit him for ages. Feeling like one slap wasn't satisfying enough, I followed up with a vicious backhand, smacking him hard across the other side of his face. Bai Yuntao's pig-like squeals echoed through the entire lobby. Watching this, Si Xiaomeng's eyes lit up brighter and brighter, until she just put her hands on her hips and burst into hysterical laughter, completely ignoring the stares from everyone around us. That insurmountable mountain in her memories could actually be sent flying with a single slap. Bai Yuntao covered his face with both hands, his ears ringing loudly, but Si Xiaomeng's arrogant, unbridled laughter still pierced right through his ears unstoppably. He completely lost his mind in a blind rage. Without even looking to see who was in front of him, he lunged forward like a madman, looking ready to kill. Right at the exact moment his hands were about to grab Si Xiaomeng, I fiercely raised my leg and delivered a vicious kick straight to his waist. Bai Yuntao's stiff body went flying through the air, tumbling pathetically across the floor for several rolls. His perfectly pressed suit was now covered in dirt. Seeing this, Si Zhaozhao quickly rushed over, grabbing my hand with her eyes full of utter heartache. Are you hurt? I shook out my slightly reddened palm. I definitely used a bit too much force just now, and my palm was tingling from the impact. But in front of outsiders, I kept up my perfectly calm and collected facade. Don't you know what I'm capable of? Catching my heavily suggestive gaze, Si Zhaozhao instantly remembered the time I forcefully made her mine back then. Her ears turned bright red in a flash. MMH. Shen Chen is the strongest. Si Xiaomeng secretly rolled her eyes at her from the side. When Su Qianqin saw Bai Yuntao's pathetic state, her face turned pale with anger as she demanded, "You went way too far with this." I acted as if I had only just noticed her, and drawled out slowly. I almost forgot about you. Just as I raised my hand, Si Zhaozhao grabbed it the very next second. Shen Chen, let me handle this. Her low voice carried an absolute, undeniable resolve. How could my husband's hand strike some wild tramp from the streets? She's not worthy. Before Su Qianqin could even react, Si Zhaozhao's fist was already flying straight toward her face. In an instant, the two women were tangled up in a brawl. Si Xiaomeng watched from the sidelines with utter fascination, pulling out a handful of sunflower seeds from God knows where, casually cracking them open, while stirring the pot like she just wanted to watch the world burn. Hey, Lao Si, are you losing your touch? Are your fists made of cotton? Or just tickling Su Qianqin? Tisk, tisk. Come on, Lao Su. Fight back already. Running out of steam already? With those weak little moves of yours. Even the grandmas fighting on the street are quicker than you. Hey, Si Xiaomeng kept pouring oil on the fire from the sidelines. Is that all you got? If you're real women, show us what you're made of. I couldn't help but cover my face. This girl's resentment towards her mother is seriously on another level. But then again, I really can't blame her. After being ignored for all those years, it'd be crazy not to hold a little grudge. I just hope Si Zhaozhao steps it up a bit, so we can finally win our daughter back. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of the Su family's third daughter. She was already shivering in fear. While no one was looking, she grabbed an assistant and whispered a few hurried instructions. Then she bolted out of there like a scared rabbit, terrified she'd be the next one to get a beating. Finally, after the Su family staff got caught in the crossfire a few times, the two of them were pulled apart. Su Qianqin collapsed onto the ground, looking like an absolute mess. Meanwhile, Si Zhaozhao just casually smoothed out her clothes. She didn't have a single scratch on her. I walked up to her, still a bit worried. Are you alright? Si Zhaozhao tilted her chin up, flashing me a smug, triumphant look. Just a little dirt on my shirt, that's all. We looked at each other, and immediately burst out laughing. We just had this natural, undeniable chemistry. It honestly made everyone around us shiver. Once we finished admiring the pathetic state of the Su siblings, I finally felt a whole lot better. Let's get out of here. Let's go grab some lunch. I'm so hungry my stomach is touching my back. With that, I raised an eyebrow, and shot a glance at Si Xiaomeng. Si Zhaozhao also looked over at our daughter, then immediately grabbed my hand, her eyes full of absolute adoration. Let's go. The two of us walked off, hand in hand, swaggering out of there. Even the way we walked screamed arrogance. Not a single person dared to step up and stop us. I glanced back over my shoulder, and saw Su Qianqin pushing herself up off the floor, glaring at me with pure venom through eyes that were swollen into slits. Seeing this, Si Xiaomeng quickly hurried after us, unconsciously copying my swagger. She looked like a cocky little peacock as she strutted out the door. That felt amazing. That's exactly what she had to be thinking. Si Zhaozhao naturally hopped into my passenger seat, while Si Xiaomeng quietly drove the car she had arrived in. She tailed right behind us the whole way until we pulled up to a private, exclusive restaurant. Cheers. The three of us raised our glasses of juice at the exact same time. Just lost it, laughing so hard we had to hold onto the table. Honestly, looking at us right now, anyone would think we were a family of villains, celebrating the downfall of the main characters. I cleared my throat and started reporting on my victory. Today, I completely broke up the main Sue. I almost blurted out the actual truth. I quickly corrected myself. A pair of star-crossed lovers. Wen Nuan has already moved out. Give it a few days, and I'll have someone expose all the Su family's dirty little secrets to the public. After that, there's absolutely no way he'll ever fall for Su Qianqin. Si Xiaoming was laughing so hard she could barely breathe. Dad, you're amazing. A person like her doesn't deserve someone like Wen Nuan anyway. I was still a little curious, though. Do you really not have feelings for Wen Nuan? I patted my chest, promising her. Don't worry, if you like him, Dad will absolutely help you win him over. To my surprise, the huge smile on Si Xiaoming's face instantly froze. Dad, what on earth made you think I had a crush on him? I seriously just see him as an older brother. The only reason I didn't want him with Su Qianqin is because she totally doesn't deserve him. Alright then, I breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. If you don't like him, I won't bring it up again. I was just worried you might be confused about your own feelings. Si Xiaoming also nodded seriously. Don't worry, Dad. I can totally separate my feelings for brother Nuanyuan. As she spoke, I noticed Xiaomeng's gaze land right on Si Zhaozhao next to us, who was busy attentively putting food into my bowl. A hint of something complicated flickered in her eyes, as if she was scheming something. Dad, that girl said with a completely straight face, I think my mom is getting old. MMPH, before she could even finish her sentence. A piece of beef was shoved right into her mouth. Si Xiaoming chewed a couple of times and swallowed it down. Not gonna lie, it actually tasted pretty good. I glanced over at Si Zhaozhao. She was looking at our daughter with eyes just full of overwhelming affection. Xiaoming, don't just sit there talking. Eat some more meat. Look how skinny you are. Mom's heart just aches for you. Si Xiaoming finally managed to swallow the meat in her mouth, only for a spare rib to come flying right into her bowl. She had no choice but to keep on chewing, probably thinking to herself. Wow, this is pretty good too. If it's good, eat more of it. That way, you'll have the energy to get things done, Si Zhaozhao said. Then she turned to look at me, bragging as if taking credit. Our Zuai is incredible. There isn't a single colleague across all the company departments who doesn't praise her. So, I've decided to take Zuai under my wing tomorrow. I'm going to personally train her on the company's business. Watching this harmonious mother and daughter scene, I was more than happy to play along. Zuai is awesome, truly living up to her role as the big sister. She definitely has that bossy big sister aura. Showered with my praise, Si Xiaoming instantly forgot whatever she was about to say. She straightened her back, her face full of pride. Keep it low-key, low-key. Si Zhaozhao seemed to rack her brain before finally remembering something else. Oh, right, the Qian and Su families are getting engaged in a few days. Their invitation was sent over to me. Honey, are you interested in going? I could totally tell she was desperately grasping for topics to talk about right now. Terrified that her daughter would find an opening to drive a wedge into our marriage. I quickly ran through the names in my head and suddenly asked. The Qian family? Is the one getting married their eldest daughter, Qian Duoduo? Hearing this, Si Zhaozhao's nerves instantly tightened up. Honey, you actually know the Qian family's eldest daughter? A name even she couldn't remember. How would I know her? I explained. We don't really know each other. I just bumped into Qian Duoduo last time I went to Wanwan's parent-teacher meeting. She seems to have a bit of beef with our daughter. I paused on purpose, and emphasized my tone. Those two even got into a fight that landed them in the police station. Hearing this, Si Zhaozhao instantly breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at how lively and energetic Si Xiaoming was, she knew our daughter definitely hadn't ended up on the losing side. So that's how it is. The moment I thought about this tangled, complicated web of drama, my inner gossip just started itching. Since they sent an invitation, then let's go check it out. I deliberately paused for a moment, and probed, if you're too busy, I can just go by myself. If I don't get the full scoop on this drama, I'm just gonna feel so uncomfortable all over. Si Zhaozhao immediately promised. I'm free. I'll go with you. Si Xiaoming rolled her eyes off to the side. I bet she was secretly flipping her mom off in her head. By evening, the sunset had painted half the sky a deep red. I was just figuring out the details for the engagement party when my phone suddenly buzzed. It was a photo from an unknown number. In the picture, a young woman in work clothes, hair tied neatly back, and completely covered in mud, was standing at a bus stop. A boy with a backpack had thrown himself into her arms, crying his eyes out. I looked a little closer. Wasn't that the same woman who got into a fight with Si Xiaoming, Yuting, and the boy? That was Su Jingchen. There was a message attached below the photo. Mr. Shen, is this what you wanted to see? I furrowed my brows. Who was playing tricks behind the scenes? What was she trying to pull? Before I could even think about it, Si Zhaozhao called me. Her voice had a faint, almost unnoticeable trace of panic. Shen Chen, did you see the news? The engagement party between the Qian and Su families seems to have hit a snag. I immediately opened the news. It was all over the front pages. Qian Duoduo, the eldest daughter of the Qian family, had literally run away from her own engagement party. She eloped with some average guy. I looked down at the photo on my phone, then back at the news, and I couldn't help but smirk. Looks like this drama is way juicier than I thought. Right after that photo, a much more detailed report buzzed through on my phone, filling in the blanks behind the picture. The report said that by the time Shen Chen tracked down Shen Youchu, she had just gotten off work at the construction site. Her baggy t-shirt and black pants were completely covered in mud and dust. When Shen Chen threw himself at her, his clean clothes instantly caught the grime. He instinctively frowned, but that quick flash of disgust was completely washed away by his overwhelming misery. Voice cracking, he asked. Qian Guoduo's fiancé came looking for me in class today. He told me to stay away from her. Oh god, Shen Youchu, what am I supposed to do? But Shen Yuting's reaction was chillingly calm. She just pressed her lips together and told him, with a cold, almost cruel sense of logic. Qian Guoduo's reputation has never been great. You should have known that before you got involved with her. I think you need to break up with her. Immediately, her words hit him like a bucket of ice water, chilling Shen Chen right to the bone. His eyes went wide, staring at her in complete disbelief. How could you say that? Are you looking down on me, too? As it turned out, after getting threatened by Qian Guoduo's fiancé, he'd run straight to her for comfort. But instead of comforting him, Qian Guoduo just told him to suck it up and deal with it. Furious, he'd stormed off, and somehow ended up finding his way to Shen Youchu. Maybe he thought this quiet, stoic woman could give him some kind of a safe haven. But Shen Youchu wasn't giving him the pity party he was looking for. She just lifted the hem of her shirt to wipe the sweat from her forehead. Her dark, unblinking eyes made Shen Chen squirm. It felt like she could see right through all his naive little fantasies. No, her voice was dead flat. You two are from completely different worlds. Now she's getting married off. If you don't break up with her. So, you want to be her secret lover? Shen Youchu, how could you say that to me? This sentence completely crushed Shen Chen. His face was filled with grief and humiliation as he tightly gripped his backpack straps. He turned around furiously and ran off into the night. Shen Yuting's feet seemed to shuffle forward slightly. Seeing the bus approaching in the distance, she stopped instantly. She just watched Shen Chen's back disappear into the dark, and then stepped onto the bus herself. Seeing this, I couldn't help but sigh. This girl is much more mature than I imagined, and much more realistic, too. The report continued. Shen Youchu got off the bus one stop early, walked into the market, and picked out some pork belly for herself. She also grabbed a rack of ribs. Just as she walked up to her apartment building, an old man stopped her. I heard your dad got out of prison today. Did you know? Another old man waving a fan chimed in. How could she not know? Her dad went back this afternoon. Heard he didn't have a key, so he took off again. Saying that, he caught a glimpse of the meat in Shen Yuting's hand. And chuckled, looks like she knew her dad was coming back. And bought this specially to celebrate. Shen Youchu frowned. Clearly, the drama with Shen Chen had made her forget about this much more important matter. She didn't say much, just carried her bags upstairs. What happened next made me see this girl in a whole new light. She was busy in the kitchen when suddenly, a loud banging echoed from the front door. She opened the door, and a man reeking of alcohol stumbled inside unsteadily. It was her father, whom she hadn't seen in years. Her father, who had just gotten out of prison. His cloudy eyes sized up this daughter who was now a head taller than him, and he called out hesitantly. Shen Youchu? Shen Youchu just gave a faint yeah, and helped him sit on the couch. Her father didn't show an ounce of guilt. Instead, he started complaining. I get out of prison, such a huge deal, and you don't even bother to pick me up. Left me locked out of my own house. He sniffed the aroma of the meat in the air, and his eyes lit up. You made stewed meat? Shen Yuting's brow was clouded with gloom. She warned him bluntly, stay away from Uncle Zhang. He's out there gambling. Just a few days ago, I saw people coming to collect his debts. You just got out of prison.